Good morning, Captain Paul here. And today I want to talk about this World War III, the boat market, where we're going. Because I got an interesting comment last week. Some guy got on there and said, hey, the boat market's going to drop and, we're going into World War III here. What are you, crazy? Blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I want to address that in this video. Next week, I want to talk about America's Great Loop. Get back into the loop a little bit because I really want to tell you guys how I got started in America's Great Loop, why I did America's Great Loop, because that all stemmed from the '08 crisis where I had lost everything. And then here I am just a short time later doing America's Great Loop on a budget, and we'll talk about that. But I did that, and I want to get back into it next Wednesday a little bit and talk about it, especially as we're seeing the season. This season's winding down. As you see, the Great Lakes are starting to freeze up. The weather, you got to get off the Great Lakes, start heading down the river system, and that's where we're at on the loop right now. Anyway, this week on WW3, we'll get to that in just a minute. But before we do, let's just talk about what happened last week in the boating market and what's going on right now. So this week, I've got three boats that I've been helping with a little bit. One is the little 28-foot Sea Ray, very cool little boat. But that boat, I could probably get 2 phone calls on a day. The 43 Albin, the one that's ready to go cruising over to the Bahamas, I probably get 1 phone call on that one a day, or 1 contact, let's say, whether it's a YouTube, whether it's a phone call on Facebook, whatever. I get 1 contact on that one. And then the 29-foot Ranger, I don't get that one gets the least amount, but it's also the most expensive boat. It's at 200 and like Scott would like to have $270,000 for that boat, 275 actually with the trailer. And I haven't got I've probably got 2 responses for it total in the last 2 weeks. So it just gives you an idea where the market's at. But like I was telling Scott about that particular boat, his boat, again, and we're going to talk about this more in this video right here, but these guys are business owners. Like Scott owns a commercial real estate property. Does he need to sell the boat? No. Does he want to sell the boat? Yes. But, and so in this market, if somebody came in and offered him X amount of dollars, and I don't know what kind of offer it would take, but yeah, they're probably going to get a little bit of a discount on the boat. But how much of a discount? I don't know, because it's what the tolerances are. And the whole point of this video is when you guys think like, and I'm just going to use Southern Estate here. It's a perfect example of the boat. But before we do that, before we get in, let's just talk about what's going on this week and what's going on in actual reality and what happened last week. So we went through, Mike went over and looked at the Tollycraft, the 44 Tollycraft. We did a survey on it. We had to stop the survey. There's too much damage. There's another broker says, the boat was in probably better condition than what it was. I mean, we knew about the fiberglass, but what we didn't know about was, right in the ad, it says the coolers are done. By Cat 2 years ago, blah blah blah. We get out there, and I'm gonna show you this picture. I can't show you pictures of the boats because I don't want to start any rumors, but I can show you like a picture of the cooler because that could be on any boat at all. But this is for it's written right in the display for the boat, or the advertisement for the boat. Coolers are done. It just went through all new coolers, and Cat did all the work. Blah blah blah. And anyway, when you see pictures like this right here of a cooler, that's not one that's just been serviced even within the last few years, because that cooler needs to be replaced. And when you see something like that, when you're out there, that's pretty well a telltale sign that your cooler, whatever, it doesn't matter whether it's a raw water pump, it doesn't matter what it is, when you see that right there, it's time to replace those parts right there. And on those were happen to be 375 Cats. That's going to cost to do the 2 oil coolers, to do the transmission coolers, and then to do the coolers for the turbos, the after coolers. I got a quote for, this was 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago. I got a quote of $7,600 to replace the four coolers and then to clean the intercoolers on that. And then by the time I get it all serviced and everything like that, it was really right at that $10,000 mark. So just that boat right there, just that work alone was over $10,000. And then you still needed a bunch of fiberglass work on the outside and stuff like that. So Mike went ahead and just passed on the boat, but it was disheartening to go through that and then see, just time and time again, we do these surveys and it's just, the boats are misrepresented. And those boats in these markets, they'll sell, but it's going to be to that guy that's, on a very limited budget, and he'll pick it up. He'll think he's getting a bargain on it, but he won't be able to do anything with it because it's going to be, he can't afford it, if that makes sense. So, even though you might be able to pick a boat, let's just say, the market just crashes, WW3, and you can pick that boat up for 50 grand. Well, the guy that picks it up for 50 grand more than likely can't afford to do all the work that needs to be done to the boat. Where Mike could have bought it right then, let's say, I think Mike would have gone to $75,000 on the boat, and then he had the money to put into the boat. But this is a guy that owns businesses, just like Scott we just talked about, with the Ranger. He owns businesses. There's plenty of guys out there with money right now, and they're just sitting on the sidelines, and when that right deal comes along, they will buy a boat. And it doesn't, but it's going to be at a value, in this market. And when you're competing with that, and again, I'm going to use Southern Estate here as an example. Let's just say I put Southern Estate up for sale tomorrow. And for me right now, the value of Southern Estate, knowing the market, knowing everything that I know about where we're at and everything like that, I know the condition of the boat. I know, is she cruise ready? Like, I could turn the keys on this boat right now and leave for the Bahamas tomorrow if I wanted to. But I also know that it needs a bottom job. I know that it needs one more air conditioner put in it, and I know that this is going to cost. I would budget, if I was going to pull this boat out of the water, I'd budget $10,000. Then I would put the air conditioner. I could budget another $10,000. So there's $20,000 worth of work that needs to be done to this boat. Now, let's say I did the work. I believe in this market today, I could sell this boat for about 100 grand with that work all done. But without that work being done, I could only sell this boat for probably $75,000 to $80,000, and I'd have people lined up. I'd probably have 2 to 3 buyers on Southern Estate. But that's also because she's a well-maintained, engine's ready to go. It's got all of the, everything's ready for this boat to leave for the Bahamas or even America's Great Loop, if that's what somebody wanted to do with that boat. And so it's very rare that these boats, these Europas, these big Europas, and when I say big, at 40-foot mark, because the smaller Europas are, they're small and they're tough to live in. But these bigger Europas, when you start getting into this 44, the engine room gets a little bit bigger. We got full-size living room, we got 2 bedrooms, because me and Pete live on here, as you guys know, and stuff like that. So the bigger ones, they're going to sell for a little bit more money, even in this market today. Like, this boat's so rare that, you don't see them, and then when you do see one, it gets snatched up like that, and it still would, even in today's market. It might be snatched up at a lower price, like I said, that 70, 80, and a year and a half ago, I could have sold this boat probably for $120,000, maybe even $130,000 in the condition that it's in, and then you still had to stick $20,000 in it, so it's a $150,000 boat. So yeah, it's 50% off right now, basically, and I think that's where the market is. And the people that are selling their boats, they're going to come to that realization, especially as this, all these wars and everything ramp up. I'm not a big news person. I don't watch the news. I don't dwell on the news. I don't dwell on any news. I don't watch any TV at all. Period. I haven't for years and years and years. And I saw my parents do it, and I can't do it. I don't believe any of it. It's all, I just don't. So why even watch it? Why waste any time on it when I just don't have the time. this week, I can really, out here in the Keys, the weather is changing dramatically. Like this is, we're starting to get into some very, very skillful times doing driving these boats now, because now, as you guys know, that I'm a boat captain 4 days a week for anybody that watches the video, and so I drive on the water every single day because it's in my blood. I wanna get in the boat. I love driving the boats, but and I got somebody to actually pay for the fuel, and I actually get a little bit of a paycheck. And I enjoy it. But my God, last night on the water, whew, you can start getting out here in these 30 knots of wind with these what they call king tides, and then these full moons that have really affect the tides and get that water just whipping. The boat gets very, very challenging out here in these conditions like that. But man, it just hones my skills. And this week I'm going to Boston, and we're going to go move Andy's boat, which just closed on a boat. So we've had 2 boats in the last month, within the last 30 days close, which was Andrew up at Lake Michigan, and then this one over in Boston. Andy closed on his, which is a 43-foot Marine Trader 1987. Very cool boat. You guys will see some pictures of it. I'll do some Patreon stuff with it. But that boat, I go out there and just do some yacht training with him, and we'll put it into its winter storage, and we'll let him slip it, and let him get some experience with it before it goes into what he calls winter storage. And then in the springtime, when it's ready to come back out, he'll have his experience. And the reason he needed me is for his insurance. He had to have a captain with him for the first couple of times. I had to turn in some paperwork to the insurance company on this one, and so that's why you might sometimes need a licensed captain to help you, especially in the very, very beginning of owning the boat. But he should do really well with it. And even after this 4 days of training right here, he should be able to put it in and out of the slip with no problem at all. And then he'll have plenty of time to think about it over the winter time. But anyway, we'll see what happens with it. And like I said, we'll know more about it this week as that progresses, and I get to do it some more. And it's another way that it keeps me busy and making some extra money. And I do appreciate you guys. Without the kindness of the Patreons, without the super thanks, without the Venmo, me doing the consulting, this consulting fees and stuff like that, it would be very, very challenging for me to be out here in these conditions. And when I say these conditions, the expense of living like in Florida here, living on my boat full time, it would be very, very challenging to do that, even with the wage that I make from Little Palm, because you can't. Because like I've told you guys in the past, just the rent space right here is $1,800 a month. Well, at a $50,000 a year captain's job, I only take home like 15, 16. By the time I pay all the expenses out of my paycheck, I get about a $1,500 check. So it takes into that third week just to pay the slip rent for Southern Estates sitting here. So, it just gives you some scope of, what it's like after you've purchased the boat and stuff like that. But again, I live in probably one of the most desirable places in the U.S. right now, especially as the winter comes upon us and stuff like that. So I get it. But the job, I was talking about it with my boss last night, the job to the rent, what it costs to be here to the wage of the job. And he even made the comment, well, this job only paid $20 an hour just a few years ago. And I said, yeah, just a few years ago, slip rent, the exact slip rent that I'm in right now, was $800 a month. And so now that $800 is $1,800 a month. So it's $1,000. So I got a $5 raise, but the rent went up $1,000. So how do you do that? It's $200 for anybody the math, if you need to do the math on that. So where's the justice in that? So anyway. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's the reality of the world that we live in today. And if you're in this boating market now, it's a brutal market. It's going to continue to be brutal. We will see the prices come down, but again, there's plenty of people out here sitting on the sidelines, and sometimes life isn't all about your money. Let's say, I joke around with my son when I go to Boston next week, and then 2 weeks later, I think I go to Costa Rica, and I'm taking my son, and I sent him a text, and he goes, Dad, what's your budget for the trip? And I told him, I'd like to stay with 4K, if I can. And that's what my original budget was, and I'd like to do that. But at the same token, this is what I told him. I said, hey, look, I'm 60 years old. You're 40 years old. This is something we've never done before. So I'm really not going to put a budget on it. That I can tell you where I want to stay, but in the end, and I think that's what this channel is all about, it really isn't about that. It's more about, I don't need to take any money to the grave. I'll take the memory to the grave over the money any day of the week. And so then and he goes, I understand. And that's what this channel really is all about. It's just like living your life with no regrets. And the no regrets lifestyle, I live on a boat because that's what I dreamed about doing my whole life. But on the same token, when I wanted to go on vacation with either one of my kids, like this year I took my daughter on vacation, and now I'm taking my son on vacation, those memories that I create with my kids are something that I would rather have that. I'd rather take that to the grave than I would any amount of money, because it really doesn't matter at that point. So how do you put value on that? And so how do you put value if you're really out there and you're really in the boating market and you really want to buy a boat? You're going to buy it no matter what. And sometimes it's our time, if that makes sense. If you're 60 years old, you're getting ready to retire, and the America's Great Loop is on your bucket list, hey baby, you better get going. WW3 is going to go on whether you're doing the loop or you're not doing the loop, or whether you're going out boating to the Bahamas or you're not going to the Bahamas, and it's time to go. And you get caught into an unfortunate situation, and you may have paid a little bit too much money for your boat, and it may drop in price another $10,000 to $15,000. But if you're worried about that, then don't do it. Sit at home, watch the news, and be worried about that stuff if that's what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, there are plenty of people out here that don't watch the news, and there's plenty of people out here that have the money, and there's plenty of people that can pull the trigger. And if you think you can compete with them, you probably can't, because they're the ones buying all the good stuff right now. The guys that are paying cash, the guys that can just go out and write a check for a boat. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. When they're ready to buy, they buy, and if they're hedged against all this stuff that's going on, and so they can buy. And so if you're out there and you're in the market, well, you think you're in the market, and then you got to get a loan. You got to do to get the money. If you don't have the money, then yes, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble, and yes, you're going to see the market crash. But it's on all the junk that somebody may have to put up with, somebody trying to qualify or get a loan or something like that. But the real good stuff, as always, it'll sell very, very quickly. And usually those people that are in the market to sell a boat, when they're ready to sell, they sell. When they're ready to buy, they buy. And it'll always be like that, no matter what, and no matter what the conditions are. And I don't care. Anyway, you need any help with some consulting, you need any help with moving a boat, especially here in Florida. I like to stay local here now that it's starting to get cold. I can't do any more trips to Boston. It's too cold. Sorry, guys. I can't wait for the season to open up. We're going to go on Andrew's boat in Michigan. When the season opens, we'll be there right there with him, and we'll spend a week with him as he starts. I don't think he's doing the loop. We got to bring the boat around Lake Michigan, so I'll be with him his first week on that. I'm looking forward to that. Getting some yacht training for him, and just having that second person there to help him as he's learning how to dock the boat and stuff like that. Anyway, peace out as always. Make sure you guys, we're coming into the holidays here. I can't say thank you enough. I really, really can't say thank you. I've just had such a blessed year. And my God, it's just been such a wonderful, wonderful year. And, I appreciate the fact that you guys watch these videos. And thank you so much. Anyway, peace out. Make sure you live life with no regret. I do. And thank you so much again.